Woo! Hello, everybody. You are in Somatic Exploration with Laura Ward in a Zoom room with some people, and it's probably blasting out somewhere on the interwebs also. We're just taking a minute, this first minute of coming together, to take a couple of deep breaths in. Oh, and maybe a couple of sighs and exhales on the sigh. So I'm going to do the double inhale, which is like double sniff, and then let out some sound on my exhale. And I invite you to also let out some sound on your exhale. You're all muted, so feel free to make some noise. And when we add sound vibration, the tissue in our body vibrates a little bit more, gives us a bigger chance to release. So a couple more breaths of big inhale. Let it go. And something just came up in there. Do I need to know anything? I don't think so. Full screening you. There we go. Yeah, so let's actually add our arms to this. Let's take a breath in and lift up, just reaching up towards the heavens, the sky, the clouds. And then as we drop the arms, just shake it out a little bit. Shake, soften, and let go. And we're going to invite our systems, or I invite you to invite your system to release tension on that shake out. Deep inhale up, exhale. And you could even do this if you're laying in bed, sitting in a chair. Yeah, we're just inviting in a little percolation, a little bit of freedom into our tissues. Inhale, lift and open, and exhale and give it a shake as it comes down. Yeah, so in my one of my PSAs, I offered to talk about undulation and adjustment. So I think I'm going to stick with those ideas. I think that every day we have to adjust to things. And if we are taking a path that's new, things will happen in our life. It will require more adjustment. And even when we're going where we really want to go, sometimes the adjustment is a lot. It's like, oh, there's something new happening. How am I in this new space? So I'm going to offer you a somatic movement exploration, and you can take this in any way that feels good in your body. So you could be laying down, you could be seated, you can stand up. We can go with micro movement, tiny little movement, or we can go with big macro movement. And I really want to invite you to sense your body through movement. Emily Conrad, the founder of Continuum, says, we are movement. It is our primary thing. Quentin, nice to see you. Finally, in a long time. So what I'm going to invite is that we are going to play with a little bit of undulation, rippling and waving through our bodies in any way that feels good. So we could go, I'm actually going to stand up for this and show you from a standing position. So if I'm standing, I can undulate from my feet up all the way to my head, just by a little bend in my knees. My weight shifts forward and then it ripples up. So here's a standing undulation. I'm moving a little bit forward and backward. I'm letting it ripple up. I could do this seated also. It's going to be slightly different, but I can kind of ripple through. If that feels totally foreign and like, oh my God, what is this stuff? Try just a little arch and curl. So something really simple and easy, a little bit of arch and curl. And then imagine that you are allowing the fluid in your body to participate in a new way. Maybe it's not a new way, maybe it's an old way, but you're allowing the participation of the fluids in your body to ripple. So that, yes, beautiful, that looks great. So that we can ripple and wave from the bottom up to the top, or from the top down to the bottom, inviting in this wave movement through our bodies from the bottom to the top. I'm going to show it again standing. I'm just rippling up my body. And the invitation is to allow your body to let go of some of your inhibitory practices that we've all taken on, just being human in the world. Don't move, quit running around, calm down. We've learned to not move our bodies. So I'm going to add some, I'm going to just do side, side. And I'm trying not to add the front back, although it's hard. Just shifting from one side to the other. You can also do this in your seat. Inviting movement from the bottom to the top, or from the top to the bottom. Actually, this one is easier for me to stay side to side if I initiate with my head and let it ripple down through my body. So I'm simply offering a few different possibilities that we're then going to explore, either smaller or bigger, deeper or shallower. Then the other thing I can do is I can do like a little twisting, rippling. I can twist from the bottom all the way up to the top. There's that whole like just plain old Qigong exercise of just spiraling. But I'm going to make mine a little bit more exciting by adding a little bit of a weight shift. And I'm letting the spiral come around my body. I could also do this seated, just easy little spirals. Right, and why do we want this kind of freedom? What types of things could be held inside of there? Well, one is our lymphatic fluid, and lymph is a detoxifier of the body. And within even our spine, there's a whole, not inside of our spine, in front of our spine, there's a bunch of lymphatic lymph nodes. If we get kind of blocked in that, it's hard for us to twist. So these twists and spirals are inviting that lymph to move. We're inviting our cerebrospinal fluid to move. And the cerebrospinal fluid is the fluid that's bathing the nervous system and the brain. It's supporting us. So if I joggle my head around, my brain isn't banging against the bones of my cranium. It's got this beautiful cerebrospinal fluid that's supporting my whole nervous system and my spine. That cerebrospinal fluid is also filtering through my body 3 to 4 times a day. It's nourishing. It's bringing nourishment, oxygen, and it's eliminating waste. So I want to imagine, so this is where we're going to take this undulation. We're going to imagine that our spine is a river. So instead of thinking of the spinal column as being an architectural thing, let's imagine it as a dynamic process, a watery fluid thing. So as I'm moving my body with these undulatory patterns, I'm inviting the cerebrospinal fluid to filter through my body. We also have, sometimes when people get older, they start to lose the space in their spinal cord. So they get spinal stenosis. If we learn to move from the inside to the outside, we can kind of stave off some of that calcification inside, some of that crustification. So I like to think of all of this movement as being ways of cracking off the crustiness, stopping the crystallization within our body through micro movement. So I've been talking a lot, and I see that I have a whole lot of people in this room, and most of you are not on camera. It would be so wonderful if you could flash me, not your naked body, but just your face every once in a while, or just to know that you're there. There's some of you people that I actually know, and that's a person I'm super happy to see. There's another one you don't have to stay on, but it would be very kind and participatory of you to show up for 1 second. So all you people out there, thank you. And then if you need to go off camera, fine, that's totally cool. But now we're connecting, right? Oh, I see your face, you see my face. Yes, hello. And do you feel different about me now that I've seen you? Just think about that, like, right? How are you showing up for me? How am I showing up for you? How are we showing up in our bodies? Thank you so much. I really appreciate all of you guys who came on for even a second. All right. Now, we're just going to take it back into that idea of fluid spine, cerebrospinal fluid bathing the spinal cord. And I'm going to invite that this fluid spine is not just there inside your spinal cord or cerebrospinal fluid around your brain, but it's in your whole body. So your whole body has this opportunity to wave, to undulate, to mobilize. And I can do it very small so that I'm kind of just internal in my own process. If I close my eyes, I can take it in more, or I can take it out into the space around me, depending on my need for movement and spaciousness. And what's happening while we're doing this? What is going on inside? Just listen in for a minute, feeling into your body, as big or as small of movement as feels good to you. Yeah, maybe you want to really reach out and stretch. And maybe you also just want to come inside and be, it feels so yummy right in here. I just want to stay in here. So listen in and allow your system and your body to participate in whatever way feels comfortable for you. Ha. So we're going to add just a little bit of breath sound. And the breath sounds we're going to add, I get to roll around on my phone, on my ottoman here, are like an ah with no vocal, or a he, or a ooh, it made even a little whistle sound with that. So I'm going to play with my mouth and let this kind of hi. Now, when I do that, I can hear the sound very differently inside my head. I'm also allowing my mouth to shape very differently. So, hi. So what this really becomes is a exploration of the sound that you're making, which can be very creative. You can keep shifting that around. And then the internal participation of movement. So for me, I've spent a lot of time doing this kind of work, and I don't need to think about it or decide what I'm going to do to let my body move. I can just go, okay, I'm going to let it happen and it will move. So I want you to think about inviting your nervous system. You've just been bathing it in that cerebrospinal fluid to start to move in ways that might sort of unwind any kind of unhelpful patterning that's in your system right now. So it could be tension, it could be stuckness, it could be old ideas of self that you're ready to kind of rinse off of yourself, or even cultural ideas of who you are or who you should be. So you're allowing yourself to move, and we'll add that as if you're just casting this little internal spell on your tissues, inviting them to free up. So on a physiological level, as we're doing this, a lot of things are happening. There is that cerebrospinal fluid moving through our body. We're also letting the fascia have this internal dance. And the fascia is like this three-dimensional system of biotensegrity. Think Buckminster Fuller, and then throw some like LSD into that idea and mix it all up and get it moving around. And there you have this idea, this system. But even when I think Buckminster Fuller, I'm still thinking architecture. We are inside of us living structures, right? We are alive. Our tissue is alive. The fluids moving through our body is alive. So taking this alive system of tensegrity held together through the fascia, through the bones and with the skin, and we're just allowing it to integrate in a coherent manner. And that means that the systems are working together. So I'm talking a lot because I feel like there's a lot of things I am offering you, a lot of entry points into this exploration. If it ever becomes too much, you can come back to normal movement. You could do a cat-cow. You could walk around the room. You could just be still. So that's what, in the very beginning, I was talking about this idea of adjustment. When we start to change things, then things start to change, and then we have to adjust to that. So if we do it in small, tiny, fluid ways, then the change might be very lubricated and we slide easily into it. If we do it in hard, big, fast ways, it might be tougher to adjust to. But when we start to change things and things start to change, there's this requirement for adjustment. So we're inviting undulation so that we're inviting the tissues and the fluids of our body to adjust in ways that will be easily assimilated for us, easily digested. What I think that this work really does is it allows you to process things on a nervous system level, on a fascia level, on a skeletal muscular level, and also our organs, right? We talked about the lymph a little while ago. So if we think of them all in there, having these nice smooth sliding surfaces around, so we're not gumming it all up, but we're giving this internal hydration, right? Coming back to that idea of the spine as a river and the whole nervous system as that river, the arms like tributaries. And how does the water move in the river? Is it just going straight, or is it like bubbling through? Or is it, yeah, exactly. Is it spiraling? Letting yourself move in whatever way feels good. And you may find like, whoa, I've done so much. If you feel like you need to, just take a minute of stillness, tune in, feel into it. What's happening? Make it smaller. Or you may find, I really need to move big. I need to roll around on the floor, or I need to like dance with my sofa or my bed, or whatever it is that you have. Maybe it's your partner. You got another person in the room. You could give them a little nudge. I know, it's a secret double pair who's in the room. Yeah. Of course, we're in a very, depending on the culture, like maybe it's more comfortable not to do that. Just inviting your living aliveness of your cellular body to have some freedom of expression. I'm going to stand up for this, but I would also like to offer that this could be very delicious on the ground. So yeah. Letting your body ripple, wave, undulate. Feeling free to slow it down whenever you want to, or you could also even try speeding things up. So I would say in terms of the elements so far, this exploration has been very watery and very airy. If we want to bring in the earth element a little bit, we can slow it down more, really connect to whatever is touching down and feel the sense of the weightedness of our body, feeling our the gravitational pull of the earth supporting us here in our body. Maybe we're still undulating a little bit. Maybe we're still rippling and waving. And maybe we don't want to be in that earth element. Maybe we want to stay in the air and the water. And we have our own relationships with each of these elements, which may be the same as other people, or maybe different. Yeah, and anytime that it feels interesting to you, or you feel like you want more social centering, feel free to come into the camera. All you people in TV land, you may not feel like there's somebody connected to you, but on some weird quantum level, we are all connected, right? On some weird quantum level, we're creating this field of energy that we're all kind of swimming within or flying within, or maybe sinking our roots into. So that sinking our roots would be a very earth element way of connecting. And when I think of sinking my roots, like my whole energy drops down. So inviting the undulation to maybe come through your feet or through your butt if you need to be more grounded. My guess is that most people don't need to be more stable. Most people probably need a little bit more fluidity, maybe more breath, and maybe more fire, more action. I'm going to step up today. Today, I'm going to really do my participatory event. I'm going to be in this thing, right? So fire could be very much about moving forward into something. I'm going to risk. I'm going to share my will with someone else, or I'm going to back away. Yeah, just letting ourselves play in this body of water that we're born into, right? At least, depending on our age, probably 60 to 70% water. And so one of my teachers has said, we don't have to become, we're all going to age no matter what, but we don't have to become less fluid. We can stay hydrated. So movement hydrates tissue. It stimulates the lymphatic, which is a detoxifier of the body. And it doesn't have to be huge. It could be very small little adjustments. Or it could be huge. It could be any of those things. Okay, we're coming towards the end. So for this last bit, I'm going to share sound and share some music, and let us be affected by that together. So I will actually not talk as much. But I do want to invite, if there were any ideas within this that really connected to you, go back and play with those ideas. How can she do it? Multitasking. Yes, she can. Here we go. So I'm going to play this song and turn up the volume so you can hear it. It is a friend of mine called Jeff Gersh. There we go. And this is called Ambient Fields. It's his side project, which is all guitar music. Can you guys hear it? Yes? Good? Awesome. Okay. So invite the play of the music into the space of your body. We've got these ideas, this undulatory patterning. Let yourself ride. You can ride with me. You can ride with the other people in the room. You can ride the music. And you can also use those breath sounds. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit louder because I can barely hear it. Imagine that all of this movement is just kind of like filtering through you, filtering your own system, bringing in the good, letting go of the crusty, bringing in the yummy and letting go of the yucky, just inviting in this play to filter whatever is going on in your body, bringing nutrition through movement, and eliminating waste also through movement. Yeah, letting yourself, and I'm gonna invite this in, a little bit of self-touch. I know this pandemic has been hard on everybody. So feel free to discover your own skin, your own surfaces. You can feel it from both directions, from I'm touching and I'm also being touched. And it could be so soft and gentle, or it could be much more, maybe so you need a really good strong grab. So whatever it is for your body, or even like a tap or a thumb, letting in. Here we all are. We can Tarzan and Jane it. It kind of makes me jealous that Tarzan's the one that got to really yell. What if it was Jane who was like, ah? There's my bad joke. But I think it's important, right? We have space to let out some sound and some noise. Ooh. Breathing into that, undulating, adjusting. Freeing up our systems. well. So sound vibration will vibrate the tissue from the inside out, movement from the inside to the outside. Touch, I'm here, I'm right here. Slowly turning it down. I know it's a tiny little amount of time to get to dance, but it's still worth it. And also interesting to feel how different the experience is when we have music, right? Music can change everything so quickly. Yeah, big hug back to you. Yeah, we can give ourselves a little love. I can see my friends out there. Yeah. And the dancing team. It's such a joy to look at. So I'm going to, am I going to stop recording yet? Maybe not. Let's just come into ourselves for a second and breathe into ourselves. So maybe there's still movement, ripples and effects, ripples, after effects, trace forms, little bits of movement that still want to bubble up and around. You can tune into those, or you can come into stillness and just see how you're feeling now. What's different? Just coming into yourself. Yeah, I would personally like to express a whole bunch of gratitude. And I want to say that my first layer of gratitude is to the fact that I'm born human on the planet. Like, I have a body, I can do this stuff. We can play in this place together. It can be such a joy. It can also be a big pain in the butt and hurt, and all sorts of things can happen. But here we are, we're alive at the same time on the planet. That's kind of miraculous. So that is my first layer of gratitude almost at all times. And when I tune into that, like, it makes me smile. I'm like, and I see you guys and I'm like, oh, look at, there's people there. And I feel gratitude for that too. Like, oh, they came, they spent some time with me. We have this capacity to connect on this heart, body, mind level. Guts, hopefully the guts were dancing in there. Yeah, and I see people are even still coming and going. How interesting. So I'm going to stop recording, but feel free to stay in the room for a few minutes if you want to say anything or write anything. Oh, and I'm also going to share my PayPal in the link. If you feel like you have the access to supporting, then feel free to do that. And I am.